Hello, everyone, and welcome to tonight's Save Our Seas Foundation Distinguished Speaker Series. We're so happy to have everyone here. My name is Lance. I'm the Director of Environmental Sustainability at the Museum of Discovery and Science. Tonight we have a wonderful speaker lined up for everyone. Issah Seidu will be speaking to us all about sharks that you might find in Ghana. So we're going to Africa tonight to learn all about shark research and what Issah is up to there. Before that, though, I'd like to just talk about the museum. I said at the Museum of Discovery and Science, we're located in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Our mission is to connect people to inspiring science. So we focus on four main categories of education: physical science education, early childhood education, health and wellness, and of course environmental sustainability, which is what we're bringing forward in this presentation, trying to connect our guests with environmental science and environmental education along the way. If you ever find yourself in Fort Lauderdale, please feel free to drop in and have a fantastic time in the museum itself. So for tonight, feel free to put any questions you might have in the chat as we go through. But just to introduce our speaker, Issah Seidu is a young conservation leader who has special interest in both marine and freshwater biodiversity conservation. Issah recently completed his doctoral philosophy degree in wildlife management at Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology in Ghana. Congratulations, Issah, doctor.
Thank you.
His PhD dissertation was the first to provide comprehensive data on Ghanaian shark and ray fauna. The project collected firsthand bioecological and bioeconomic information on sharks and ray fisheries in Western Ghana. He is currently championing research and conservation of marine megafauna, specifically sharks, rays, guitarfish, billfish, and cetaceans, whales, in Ghana. Issah holds a master's in philosophy and wildlife management and a bachelor's of science in natural resources management from the same university. He has a certificate in tropical ecology and ecosystem conservation from the Tropical Biology Association in the UK. And he is also a fellow of the Zoological Society of London EDGE program and is currently the New England Aquarium MCAF fellow, implementing groundbreaking project aiming to garner grassroots support for conservation of guitarfish and other sharks and rays in Ghana. Issah, quite the background you have. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
We
And
are so happy to have you.
and I really appreciate the wonderful introductory remarks on me.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
you have to, when freshly graduated doctoral students, we have to call out. It's a lot of work getting your PhD, right? So,
yeah,
congratulations on that,
yeah,
and on all the wonderful work that you're doing. Yeah, well,
yeah. Thank you,
tonight
thank you.
we want to hear about your research and what you're up to. So feel free, go ahead and take it away. Just
Okay,
as Issah's sharing his PowerPoint, if anyone has any questions, you can type them into the chat, and I will answer them on your behalf. All right, or I'll ask them, I should say, of Issah on your behalf. And while he's working on that as well, I would like to do a shout out to the Save Our Seas Foundation. Thank you very much for sponsoring tonight's call and the whole series. This is the second lecture as part of a whole series of the Save Our Seas Distinguished Speaker Series. So tune in for the rest of the year, or you can find the full schedule on our website, which I'll share more about later. All right,
well,
Issah, we're almost there. I can see your PowerPoint, but
yeah, is it there?
I don't see the presentation mode of it. I
Yeah,
see
can you
the
see it?
actual, I see the PowerPoint, like how to, like the editing page, not the actual presentation.
Okay. So you see the PowerPoint, right? The slides.
No, I see the PowerPoint editing page, not the actual slides yet.
Wow. That's let me check this one.
That's okay.
Let me check.
Can you press the presentation button? That might help. There we go. I see it now.
You see it now? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Great.
Okay. So should I start?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, okay. Thank you very much for the wonderful introduction. Except that I have to add one or two things to it. I am actually the co-founder of AquaLife Conservancy. And at AquaLife Conservancy, over the years, we have actually been spearheading the conservation of sharks and rays among fishing communities in Ghana. But of course, we do work on other freshwater biodiversity as well as marine species. So we've been working on sharks, rays, billfish, cetaceans, among us others, as well as freshwater fish, dragonflies, and others as well in the terrestrial ecosystem. But basically, I'm focusing specifically on sharks and rays, but I do train uh, other colleagues to work on other taxa as well. So over the years, we have been collecting key baseline information. When I started working or championing the conservation of shark series, there was no much information on the species, and these species were also very very threatened. So over the years, we have been working assiduously to collecting key baseline information that can be leveraged to develop management or conservation strategies, which is aimed to mitigate threat to shark series in Ghana and even across West Africa region. So as of my presentation, we'll be focusing on some of the baseline information that we've gotten so far.
So
So
so before you started, was there a lot of research happening in these fisheries?
actually, when I started my work in 2018, there was absolutely no information, no research on these
Mm.
species in the country. So my work became the first first detailed info, first detailed project to collect detailed information on these species in the country. But of course, along the way, some students or some I would say some researchers came in and they are also doing working on the species, but not focusing specifically on it, of course. So but in the country, I am working specifically. I have dedicated my time, my resources, everything specifically for the study and for the conservation of sharks and rays in the country.
That's amazing. Well, I commend you for getting the research started. That's really amazing.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your recommendation. Okay, so the presentation is actually in 5 different parts. The first part will talk about Ghana and our fisheries activities, and then I will zero in my motivation for the studying of sharks and rays. Because as I indicated earlier, I was working on dragonflies and damselflies. I work on dragonflies and damselflies for my BSc and even for my master's degree. And I was doing excellently well in that field with considerable publication. But what actually motivated me to move from the study of dragonfly to damselfly to the study of sharks and rays, and now champion the conservation of sharks and rays, I'll touch on that so that you have a fair idea of what my trajectory of events and my trajectory of my career. And the second part, I will talk about the second, the third, and fourth will focus on the findings of some of the key baseline information that I've gotten so far. The last part, we also talk about my conservation output. I'm instigating, together with my team members, we are instigating a series of conservation and awareness creation campaign with the local communities. And I would like to talk about some of the output that we have actually gotten so far. So that much I do. Let me move quickly to the presentation itself. So Ghana is actually a maritime country in the West Africa region. which is border to Burkina Faso in the north, Cote d'Ivoire in the west, Togo in the east, and the Gulf of Guinea in the south. And the coastline of Ghana is approximately 550 kilometers, and it is a host to many industrial, semi-industrial, and artisanal fisheries. But the artisanal fisheries alone contribute to 80% of our total annual fish stock, and is being operated by over 150,000 fishers along 350 landing beaches. So men are typically into fishing, which means though they actually go to the sea, do the fishing, and bring the landings or the fish to the various landing beaches. And women are not allowed to go to the sea because there's a taboo that prohibits women from going to the sea. So women are engaged actively in post-harvesting activities such as fish processing, fish retailing, or fish trading. So having touched on our fishes activity, how did I move into the marine environment? And what were the major reasons why? And this is actually a very long story, but I'll make it quite snappy for the want of time and for this presentation. Actually, I was born in the middle belt of Ghana where we used to see the terrestrial species. I was actually born close to a protected area. So we used to see the terrestrial animals, and we were actually sometimes even playing with these terrestrial animals, especially the amphibians, the reptiles such as snakes, and even the snails. We used to play with these animals. So that actually motivated me to take up a course to study BSc Natural Resource Management for my BSc degree. And then during my BSc degree, I studied dragonflies and damselflies. And for my master's degree too, I studied dragonflies and damselflies, and I also championed the conservation of terrestrial species such as amphibians, dragonflies, freshwater fish, primates, crocodiles. We were actually championing these species because we do not have the sea and we do not get the opportunity to even see the sea growing up. And throughout, we actually did not have the dream of working in the marine environment, let alone work on sharks and rays. So after my master's degree, I decided to pay a visit to my uncle in Disco. And Disco is a coastal fishing community in Ghana, where majority of the fishermen have now switched gears from their traditional beach and pacing, and now using Dave net gears complemented with bottom set net gears to target sharks and rays in the wake of continued decline of the teleos. So these fishermen, in their response to the continued decline of the bony fish, that is the tunas and other bony fishes, they have now decided to switch gears to target sharks and rays and other marine megafauna such as bellfish and dolphins to safeguard their livelihoods. So whilst in the morning whilst in Disco in the morning, I went to the various landing beaches and I saw loads of sharks and rays being displayed for auctioning in the various landing beaches. So that was my first time of seeing sharks and even rays. And I wanted to satisfy my curiosity on the species. So I want to know the types of shark species in Ghana and their conservation status. So I went directly to the IUCN website to check the various species and their conservation status. And I was alarmed to see that in Ghana, out of the 76 shark fauna, close to 70% of these species were threatened with extinction, listed as vulnerable, endangered, and critically endangered on the IUCN website. So I was very, very alarmed by this revelation, and I wanted to dig deeper to find
Issa, if
out.
you wouldn't mind, when you came to this realization and all these landing beaches where you were seeing all these sharks, how old were you when was this recently or was this further in your past?
Yeah, can you come again, please?
I was asking when you were visiting these beaches and you're noticing all these, the landings, these landing beaches, as you were saying, and you were noticing all these sharks being caught, and you said you went to the IUCN website to look at these
Mhm.
species. How old were you? When was this? When you were
I was,
just getting started?
are you saying how did I feel? Is
How
that
old
the
were you?
question? How old
Was this
was
was
I?
this recently or was it
Yeah,
further
that actually
further
occurred
on?
in 2018 after my master's degree.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, 2018 after my master's degree. Yeah, because for my BSc, my bachelor, and my master degree, I was focusing on dragonflies and damselflies, and I was also
Yes, right.
focusing
Okay.
on terrestrial species, championing the conservation of these terrestrial species. So after my master degree, I decided to visit my uncle in Disco.
Right.
Yeah, so whilst in Disco, I saw these species being displayed for watching. Loads of number of species of sharks and reefs being displayed for sale. So I was actually shocked because that was my first time of seeing sharks and rays in Ghana, and I wanted to satisfy my curiosity. So I went to the IUCN website and I was alarmed by the revelation that I saw that over 70% of Ghana shark fauna were threatened to extinction, listed
Mm-hmm.
as vulnerable, endangered, and critically endangered on the IUCN website. So I wanted to dig deeper to find out some of the key information, some of the publication report on the species in the country and even across West Africa. And I realized that there was absolutely no information on the species in Ghana, no information whatsoever, no publication, no newsletter, no technical report on the species in Ghana and even across West Africa. There were little information on the species. So I said to myself that these species are silently going extinct, and it seems nobody cares about the species. Nobody is worried about the species. Is that nobody is worried, or is that out of ignorance that the scientists are not working on these species? So day in, day out, my passion to work on this kept on growing until I finally decided in the latter part of 2018 to start collecting key baseline information that can be leveraged to develop management or conservation strategies to mitigate threats to these species. So long story short, my motivation to work on the species actually stemmed from three major factors. One, the extinction risk of the species. We all know that globally, sharks and rays are many sharks and ray species are threatened to extinction. Globally, 37% of these species are threatened to extinction. And if you come to Ghana, close to 70% of Ghana's shark fauna are threatened to extinction. And two species from the swordfishes, that is the Pritis and Pritis patinata, are already extinct in Ghana and across many ranges in West Africa. So something dramatic needs to be done to salvage this problem. And the second one has to do with over-reliance on the species. Now, sharks and rays are no longer bycatch in artisanal fisheries. If you go to many artisanal fisheries in Ghana and even across West Africa, sharks and rays are now targets in these fisheries because as a fisherman, using drift gill net GS or bottom set net GL, if you're able to catch sharks or greater fish species, you have double benefit in terms of the sale of the meats as well as the fins. So every fisherman using these two GS as part to target these species to support their livelihoods. And the third one I will also touch on is the lack of key baseline information. When I started my work, my conservation work in 2018, there was absolutely no information on the species, no data, no publication of the species. And these baseline information are also critically needed to devise management or conservation strategies. And that formed the foundation of my work. So throughout my work, I am trying to collect key baseline information that the local authorities, that I can even work with the local authorities, the governmental bodies to devise management or conservation strategies to mitigate threat to sharks and rays in the country. And this obviously will lead us to the various parts on my baseline study. And this will lead us to the second part, which talks about fisheries ecological knowledge. So here, our focus was to collect fishers' knowledge on some of the ecological clues they use to enhance their fishing operation. And our focus, our aim was to document fishers' knowledge on sharks and rays and guitar fish fisheries and the ecological factors influencing their fishing operation. So this study has been published in two different journals, the Human Ecology Journal and the Marine Policy Journal, with different set of data. But of course, for the emphasis of this presentation, I'll be focusing specifically on the ecological clues shaping fishers' operation. So aspects of the fishers' knowledge on sharks and rays and guitar fish can be found in the two different journals. So the study was conducted in 5 key and active fishing communities in Ghana across the western and the central coast. And these communities are the Azim, Disco, Buzia, Adwa, and Shamal communities all located along the west and central coast. So we chose these communities specifically because they are well known for their dominant in sharks and ray fisheries. So that's the more reason why we selected these communities for this study. So I use the convenience and the snowball sampling scheme to select fishes for this study. So the convenience sampling scheme was actually used to select active fishes. And active fishes are fishes who are still going to the sea, doing the fishing, and then bringing the stock or the catch to the various landing beaches. And we also use the snowball sampling scheme to track down retired fishes who double as canoe owners. The retired fishes are fishes who are no longer going to the sea, but do own canoe to support their livelihoods. So we also conduct face-to-face interview with a total of 51 fishers. And we conduct a series of focus group discussion all the 5 communities to collect data that could be used to support the interview data. And we also did a number of participant observation where we go to the various communities and we organize a series of meetings in small groups to talk to the communities about the rationale, about the reason why, the rationale, the objectives, or the reason why we are collecting data. All these were done to build trust. We also organized a series of workshops, and I also personally engage myself actively in fishers activities, and you can see me clearly supporting the fishermen in pooling and mobile species onshore. These were all done to build trust with the fishers because at the onset of the projects, most of the fishers were not opening up to us. They were not cooperative because the fin traders at that time had already brainwashed them into thinking that whenever a fisherman, a researcher, excuse me, a researcher comes to them for any information, that researcher is going to use the information to support the development of management strategy that can be used to ban their operation. So, and the fishermen too were also aware of the global controversy surrounding shark species. So they tended to become hostile sometimes and even very uncooperative towards us. So we leverage on the pattern of deviation, organizing series of meetings, engaging ourselves actively with them in their various activities, just to build trust, to let them know that our work was actually not to collect data that can harm their work, but the focus of our data collection is to support in striking a balance between conservation and utilization. So, and that actually worked for us. Most of the fishermen later on became aware of our work and they were very cooperative to our participant observations.
Right. That's a really interesting point of view, right? Because a lot, like just like you said, whenever a lot of times when researchers come in to they're doing research so they could, save a species or get, more restrictions applied, and so the fishers don't really want that, right? But
Exactly,
you
exactly.
were able to garner trust with them to say and support the industry and support their way of life, um,
Exactly.
in a sustainable way, right? I think that's,
Exactly.
yeah. So that's a really interesting perspective and challenging, right? When you first went
Yeah,
in, I'm sure it was a challenging conversation with the people that were catching the sharks and rays and whatnot. So
it was very, very challenging. It took us more than 5 months to be able to convince some of them to even buy into our activities. It wasn't easy at all. But what we did initially, we wanted to organize the meeting in large group, but we later on it was not working. It wasn't working at all. So later on, we decided to organize the meeting in small group, a group of 5 to 10 people, so they can have one-on-one interaction with them. And so you see, when you have one-on-one interaction with them, they're able to open up, they're able to tell you their fears, and it becomes so easy for us to also address their fears. So that's the more
right.
reason why they'll be able to build that confidence from them.
Yeah.
So now the results for the local ecological knowledge. So fishers were able to describe 6 categories of local knowledge they use as ecological clues to enhance their fishing operation. And these are the moon phenomenon, the season and weather condition, the bay types, the sea birds and fish movement, the color of seawater, and sea current. And 94% of the fishes indicated that the moon affects their ability to catch shark species. So all the fishes reported that a full moon makes the water more transparent for these species to see and avoid their gears. To fishers, the best period to go fishing is when there's partial or no moon, as they're able to get significant catch due to the opaqueness of the water. And all the fishers also stated that the bait type influence the catch of sharks. And fishers listed the types of bait they mostly use to target shark species. And these are the dolphins, the flying fish, sardines, anchovies, as well as fresh pork. But all of them agree that the dolphins and the flying fish are the best and effective bait to target shark species. And they indicated that the dolphins are characterized by high oil content as well as high blood content, which makes them good attractant to sharks.
Is that dolphin fish or dolphins?
So,
Dolphins.
yeah, the dolphin, the cetacean
Okay, okay,
dolphins.
okay. I was just wondering.
Yeah. Actually, in Ghana, the dolphins, there's a law that prohibits the catch, the trade, and even the consumption of dolphins. But of course, the fishermen are not complying. Most of them are not complying to these laws.
Mm.
And yeah,
That's a whole separate issue, right?
yeah, it's a whole separate issue, of course. Yeah. Okay. So 88% of the fishers also reported that the seabirds play a key role in giving them clues to potential fishing areas. And some fishers indicated that some bears have the ability to see below the water and to feed on smaller individual fishes, which invariably serve as food to larger fishes such as sharks, billfish, amongst others. So to fishers, whenever they go to the sea and they see flocks of seabirds hovering on the surface of the water and dipping their beak in the water, is an indication that there are abundant sharks and other large pelagic species. So they cast their net in that direction. A majority of the fishers also reported that the sea currents have a significant impact on fishing. Fishers described two major sea currents that shape their fishing operation. These are the eastward current, which fishers indicated that they are slow and therefore provide them conducive environment or conducive condition to catch high or significant fish. By the western current, the fishers indicated that they are very strong and therefore drift or transport fish away from their fishing zone and thus do not provide them good condition for catching high number of fish. So for the color of the seawater, fishers describe five major different color of seawater that they use to shape their fishing operation. The first is the Adumsu, term as the deep blue water. The Adumsu, the local dialect, term as the divine water. The divine water fisher indicated that they occur unpredictably from July to October and last for just 2 weeks. So as a fisher, if you're able to chance, according to the fishers, if you're able to chance on Adumsu, it's most likely you are going to get bountiful catch of sharks, billfish, rays, and guitar fish in any location in the sea. So every fisher is actually dreaming or aspiring to chance from the Adumsu or the divine water. The light green water, termed as the green water, is also where most of the sharks, the tuna and billfish, are also found. And this light green water occurs everywhere in the sea. It can also occur in every time of the season or of the year.
Hmm.
Now, now the third part talks about the socio-economic and trade dynamics of sharks. Here, the focus was actually on sharks, shark only. There was no element on guitar fish or rays because the shark trade has become preponderance, has become increasingly increased in the country, especially in three communities, Shama, Discove, and Azim community. And most of the shark fin traders from our neighboring West Africa come to these communities to buy sharks. So I wanted to know the trade dynamics and the socioeconomic attributes of this shark meat to fishers' livelihoods. So that's the more reason why I focus specifically on the shark species. So the study was conducted to characterize existing livelihood strategies and the contribution of shark fisheries to fishers and traders' livelihood income. And the study has been published in the Fisheries Research Journal. And of course, I will touch on a set of the findings. So if you want to read more about the study, you can find it in the Fisheries Research Journal. So the study was conducted, as I said, indicated, in 3 different communities, and these communities were selected based on their preponderance in shark fisheries in the country. They are well noted for their dominance in shark fisheries, and this community are Azim, Discover, and Shama community, all located in the western Ghana. So here I use the convenience sampling scheme to select fishers and traders for this study, and I conducted interviews with a total of 85 respondents, and this constituted 58 fishers and 27 traders. I also interviewed 15 canoe owners to collect data on shark fin trade. I interviewed the canoe owners specifically for the data on shark fin trade because the canoe owners are solely responsible for the trade of shark fin. They use the proceeds from the shark fin to support their canoe business. So they have much knowledge in the shark fin trade. So if you interview a fisher, an active fisher, the active fisher may not be able to give you accurate information on shark fin trade. So that's the more reason why we interview these 15 canoe owners to support our data on shark fin trade. So I designed a question, and the question focused on the demographic of respondents, their livelihood strategies, their fallback livelihood option. The fallback livelihood options are livelihood options that fishers and traders prefer to rely on if there should be a ban on exploitation of sharks in Ghana. I also collected information on satisfaction level. The satisfaction level were categorized into 2 different indicators. Satisfaction level based on the income they generate from the sale of the meat and the fins, and the satisfaction level based on their livelihood in fishing as a whole. We also collected information on main use and sale price of commercial important shark products, including the meat and the fins, the trade dynamics, including where the meat and fins are sold, and the changes in average prices of shark fins. Now, the results for the level for the third part, we found out that fishing was the primary source of income for majority of the fishers and the traders, and this constituted 58.5% of their total income. This was followed by fish processing, constituting 16.0% of their income. And then fish retailing was the 3rd most important livelihood strategies for the fishers and traders, constituting 13.3% of their total income. So other important livelihood strategies was the artisanship, such as barbering, hairdressing, carpentry, tailoring, all constituting 4.1% of their total annual income.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, the income from shark fisheries, we found out that majority of the respondents generated between 80 to 100% of their income from sharks. And this was more pronounced in Azim and Discove communities, where nearly 70% of our respondents, the traders and fishers, generated between 80 to 100% of their income from the sale of shark fins and meat. But when we talk about the Shamal community, only 30% of the respondents, the traders and the fishers, generated between 80 to 100% of their 80 to 100% of their income from the sale of shark meat. Now, consumption pattern of sharks. Here we ask the fishers and traders to categorize their consumption pattern into 4 different categories as often, that is once or more per week, sometimes once or more per month, rarely, once or few times per year, and never. So when we ask them to categorize their consumption of shark meat according to this category, we found out that based on their information, we found out that the consumption of shark meat were more common among the fishers, the traders, as well as their fishing communities. For example, when we talk about the Azim community, almost all the respondents indicated that they often or sometimes consume shark meat, which means they consume shark meat once or more per week or once or more per month. In the Discord community, only 65% of the fishers indicated that they consume shark meat often. And I'll talk about the Shamal communities. Nearly 70% of the fishers stated that they often eat shark meat. And to support the increasing incidence of the consumption of shark meat in the various communities, A fisher in Azim reported that, and I quote, "Let me tell you, my son, every fish in the sea is meat, and so are sharks. We eat and sell what our hands possess. We do not have any choice in our consumption because we do not get diverse fish as we used to do in the previous years. Shark and ray meat are increasingly sustaining our home these days." So this fisherman is just trying to re-echo what is happening in their community. As I indicated earlier, there has been a tremendous decline in the teleos, and the fishermen, in response to this decline, are now targeting sharks and rays to safeguard their livelihood. So this fisherman is just trying to rehash what is
Mm.
happening to them in their various communities.
Right. So fishing for sharks, just to recap everything, like fishing for sharks is a huge part of their economy, right? How they get their livelihood, and an important protein source to for for local communities. And as you just said, as populations of other more preferred fish decline, then they're turning to sharks to supplement, right? So it's really interesting listening and seeing the results of your research, because a lot of times in the United States, like, we are used to, sharks are protected, this kind of thing, and these local fisheries. I mean, we do have issues with bycatch and other things like this, and people catching sharks, but not for like the shark fin trade and this kind of thing. But it's a really important part of how people, make money and actually support themselves and their families in Ghana. So it's an interesting problem, right? To think about
Exactly.
how do we conserve these species while also, ensuring that we don't put a bunch of people out of business and
Exactly.
and especially and make them go hungry, right? So
Yeah.
it's a different kind of
Yeah.
issue than we have here in the U.S. Because these communities are so tied to the ocean and reliant upon the ocean.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, well, I'm happy you're doing this research because hopefully we can get the baseline data so that way we know what a sustainable harvest could look like in the future. But
Exactly. Exactly. So even that's the more reason why I'm doing this research. And recently, the IUCN chair visited Ghana. Rema Jabadu, she visited Ghana to
mm,
observe some of the fisheries activities going on in the country. And she was taken aback. She was surprised to see that now in Ghana, even I was going to say, for the past decade, we have actually fished down our sharks and rays. Many of the sharks and rays which have tremendously declined. So most of the fishers have now moved from the country and they are now settling in Mauritania, Senegal, as well as Gambia, and doing the fishing of sharks and rays. So after fishing, they process the meat and then they transport the meat to Ghana. It's a big business going on in Western and Central Ghana. So Rema Jabadu came to Ghana for us to start collecting baseline information on this trade. Yeah, because we have to, he told me we have to do something to mitigate the impact on these sharks and rays across West Africa. So we are actually working with the traders to support us in collecting baseline information on this. It has become a canker that become part of our. It's actually kako or the dry meat is part of our culture. I remember one fisherman told me they used to eat this meat somewhere in 1960s. But so I don't know how right now what we are trying to do is to try and balance. We tell them that we don't have any means to ban them from the exploitation of these species. But what we seek to do is to strike a balance between utilization and conservation. And that has always been my message. Because if you tell them there should be a total ban on the exploitation of sharks across West Africa, no fisherman will buy into your conservation model. So now the shark fin trade. the shark fin trade. Am I still online?
Yes,
Hello?
yes, we can hear you. Yeah.
Now the shark fin trade. Now here we actually ask the canoe owners to give us the average prices of the shark fin on the various shark species they catch according to the various time periods from 2005 to 2010, when most of the fishermen in the country noticed a tremendous decline in the catch of sharks. And 2011 to 2013 is when there was an embargo on the exploitation and the trade of shark fins. Because according to the fishermen, the government at that time believed that the shark fin trade was used as a conduit to smuggle narcotics in the country. So there was an embargo on the shark fin trade to pave way for investigation. And 2014 to 2015 was when the embargo was actually lifted. And 2018 to 2020 is when I started my interaction and the data collection with the fishermen. So when you ask them to give us the price ranges of the fins of the various shark species according to this time period, per their recollection, the price of all shark products, all shark fins, tremendously declined in 2011 to 2013 and astronomically increased from 2014 to 2015 when the ban on the shark fin trade was lifted. Because when the ban was lifted, many shark fin traders from across West Africa trooped into the country to buy the fins from these fishermen and the canoe owners. So as the competition increased, as the demand increased, the prices also increased, and that led to the shock in in the prices of these shark fins. So it increased, and then from 2015, it increased steadily until 2018. And then after 2018, the price of all shark products have remained virtually stable. So species such as the blue sharks and the treasure shark consistently had the least valuable fins in the local market. When we talk about species such as the hammerhead sharks, as well as the bull shark, they consistently had the most valuable fins in the local market. And 90% of the fishers also sold their meat to the local merchant. For the fishers, they sell the meat to the local merchant, and after selling the meat to the local merchant, they support the local merchant to slice the meat into smaller pieces, and the local merchant sort the meat, they dry them, and then they sell to the local consumers as dried fish, termed as kako in our local dialects. And 67% of the fishers also sold their fins to foreign merchants. And these foreign merchants are coming from countries such as Senegal, Mali, Benin, as well as Guinea. And the fallback level option, as I indicated earlier, the fallback level options are level options that fishers and traders prefer to rely on if there should be a ban on exploitation of shark products in the country. So majority of the fishermen and the traders prefer to rely on small businesses. The fishermen describe the small business they prefer to rely on as purchasing and selling of men underwears, men clothing, men slippers, as well as men shoes in the local market. However, the traders prefer to rely on small businesses such as purchasing and selling of food items and an assortment in kiosks or small shops. So transportation business became the second most important level strategy that fishers and traders prefer to rely on. And this was followed by artisans such as masonry, carpentry, tailoring, barbering, as well as hairdressing. Now, satisfaction level of fishers and traders. Here, we ask the fishers to tell us, you categorize the satisfaction level of the fishers and traders into various categories from highly dissatisfied to very satisfied. So when you ask them to categorize their satisfaction level, 60% of the fishers were somehow disgruntled with the income they generate from the sale of their meat. So for the fishers, they believe that they have spent much energy, much resources, as well as much effort into getting sharks in the open sea. So whenever they bring the shark to the various landing beach, they believe that the traders are cheating them with the prices they offer to them. However, 90% of the traders were also satisfied with their income from shark meat. Well, for the traders, after buying the shark meat from their fishers, they slice them into pieces, sort them, dry them, and then sell them at a exorbitant price to the local consumers in the various local markets. So they're able to get high income from the sale of these shark meat. And 75% and 85% of the fishers and traders respectively were satisfied with fishing as their livelihood. And this is because all the respondents indicated that these fishing-related livelihood strategies were the major livelihood that their mothers, their parents taught them. And that happens to be their last available safety net. So therefore, they tend to be okay with it. At least it's giving them some level of income to support their homes. Now, part five.
Issah, I just wanted to give us a time check. No, you can keep going. I want to leave just a few minutes for questions at the end. So we have about maybe 5 or 6 minutes,
Oh,
and
okay,
then
so
we'll have like 5 or so minutes at the end for some questions.
oh wow. So I have only 5 to 6 minutes to finish the presentation, right? Okay, then let me quickly run through it. Let me quickly run through it. Okay. So the fourth part talk about participatory landing site study. And this part, I actually trained 5 different local volunteers and then stationed them in 5 different communities to support our landing site data collection. So we trained them in landing monitoring, landing and market site data collection, as well as identification of sharks and rays. So we stationed them in the various markets, in the various communities to support our landing site data collection. So this study has also been published in the Regional Studies in Marine Science, and the aim was to investigate species-specific spatial and seasonal variability, as well as the size and maturity composition of all species in landings. So for the emphasis of this presentation, and for the want of time, we focus on the spatial and seasonal variability of a list movement. So aspect of the size, the sex and maturity composition of the species can be found in the journal. Here we conducted tri-weekly landing survey in the 5 communities with the support of our local volunteers. The shark and ray was sampled for 28 days in the minor rainy season, 45 days in the major rainy season, 35 days in the dry season. So now the results. A total of 2,155 individuals for less movement were actually collected. So this figure represents only species that were landing with all their parts intact. So species that had their part chopped off, or species or specimen that have their fins chopped off were excluded from the analysis owing to the difficulty in the identification at the initial stage. And so this figure represents 1,414 sharks and 743 rays. And this constituted 34 elasmobile species encompassing 20 sharks and 14 ray species. So the blue shark, that the Plonus gluca, dominated the shark landings, and this constituted 81% of the total shark catch. The Rajapava also constituted 30%, was the dominant ray species in landings, and this was followed by Phototrigon species encompassing Phototrigon margarita and Phototrigon margarita. Now the spatial variability of elasmobile. Here you compare the elasmobile catch among the various communities, and we found out that the shark, for the shark species, Shama exhibited the highest catch, which was followed by Disco community. And for the ray species, the Azim community exhibited the highest ray catch, followed by the Ajwa community. Now the seasonal variability. Here we wanted to find out the seasons where most of the sharks were caught and most of the sharks and rays were landed in the various communities. And we found out that the minor rainy season were the season where majority of the shark specimens were landed in the various communities, followed by the dry season. And for the ray species, the dry season were the season where most of the ray specimens were landed in the various communities. Now, my last part talks about the conservation output. And here, as I indicated earlier, I I am the co-founder of AquaLife Conservancy, and and the organization was established in May 2019, and our vision was to promote the long-term conservation of marine and freshwater biodiversity. So at AquaLife Conservancy, we are spearheading a series of conservation and awareness programs, community-driven conservation programs aimed at mitigating threat to sharks and rays. The focus of the program is to reduce some of the stress we impose in our marine environment. So in all, we have engaged a total of 18 fishing communities. In our engagement, we have collected comprehensive baseline information from these fishing communities. We've also engaged them in series of community-driven conservation programs. We conduct conservation programs such as conservation evangelism, where you go to the various mosques and churches, and then you preach to them the conservation needs of sharks and rays. We also organize series of beach cleaning exercise in all these communities, and we donated waste bin to them just to and support our conservation activities. And we have also piloted snail rearing and soap making with a total of 38 participants. So the focus was to adapt fishers and traders who were targeting sharks and rays, especially even greater fish species. We adapt them, we train them in the snail rearing and soap making, and then we give them resources to start. And we are so happy that 15 of these fishermen and traders are still working on these level strategies. We have also provided a first record and comprehensive data on 28 sharks and 19 ray species. So through this data, we have supported the IUCN Ray assessment and the listing of 28 endemic and near endemic West African shark and ray species in West Africa. And
That's
we've also
fantastic.
yeah. And we have also contributed data that has supported the listing of three greater fish species on CITES Appendix 2. And we are also building capacity to, to support our programs, especially with the capacity of 17 fishers who are now supporting our conservation work in the various community. We've also built a capacity of 4 students. 2 have currently completed their thesis, and 2 are currently doing their masters working on sharks and rays. And we've also built a capacity of 12 boat captains, of which 10 are working with us to collect spatial data in the marine environment. So we train them in GPS tracking device, and then the GPS, they use the GPS tracking device and the GPS to map their fishing trajectory, their core fishing areas, as well as the potential nursery grounds and aggregation site of greater fish. Because our focus is to map these areas and then designate them as a locally managed marine area to safeguard greater fish and other marine species in the country. So the big vision, yeah, we have been working assiduously with our local authorities, some governmental organizations, as well as the key stakeholders, the fisher, the trader, the canoe owners, the canoe council. And our vision is to support the development of conservation strategies, which is aimed at mitigating threat to sharks and rays. So we are hoping that by the end of the year or early part of next year, this conservation strategy should be ready. And we are also working with these local stakeholders. We are having a series of discussion with them to support us in establishing locally managed marine areas as well as marine protected areas in Ghana. So I'd like to thank the Save Our Sea Foundation for providing us support throughout. So the Save Our Sea Foundation over the years, for the past 4 years, have been my major supporters. They have been supporting me with funds, and I would like to use this medium to give them a big shout out. Without them, our efforts wouldn't have been possible. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'll echo that. Thanks Save Our Seas for making this series possible too. Issah, you are doing so much. It's really amazing. Your project is very holistic, right? You start
Yeah,
with what impact to the humans and the fishers that to their livelihoods and to their food systems. How is the fishery important to them? And then you moved on to Okay, well, what impact are they actually, what species are they catching? How much are they catching? And where are they catching it? And even what kind of water is best for catching? It's
Exactly.
then moving forward with the AquaLife Foundation. It's really amazing that you can go forward then and use that data you've collected to then conserve, right? So
Exactly.
it's it's a it's a really amazing work, especially since none of this has been done before. So
Yeah.
I commend you for being the trailblazer, right, in doing the baseline data and research and then moving it forward to actual protection and conservation. That's
Exactly.
really amazing. What do you think the next step is? I know you're not done, right? You're too
Yeah.
passionate, right? What do you
Yeah.
think the next? How do you move forward and use more of this data to conserve more and
Yeah.
and have a sustainable fishery
Yeah.
in these
So
communities?
my next step is actually in two folds. The first one, we have duty information on sharks and rays. Now, at first we didn't have much information on that, but now we have the information. So my next step is to work with the local authorities as I'm currently doing. We are working
Mm,
assiduously with the local authorities, with the key stakeholders, the fishery traders, to develop conservation or management strategies to mitigate their impact on these sharks and rays. That's the first one. So the second one, now we know what the fishermen actually bring to the various landing sites, but we don't actually know what is happening in the marine environment where they catch the species. It's something we don't know. So right now, I am trying to build my capacity in the use of beta remote and the video system. And using that, we can work with the fishermen to track the species diversity areas where they are getting the diversity. Even though I'm collecting this data, because the boat captain, together with the boat captain, we've been going to the sea and we are just mapping the fishing trajectory of the fishermen, their core fishing areas, as well as the potential areas where the guitar fish, the rays are aggregated. But truly, we don't know the diversity in those areas. So we want to install better remote and a video system, and then we use that to monitor those areas that can in future be mapped as for MP, for the establishment of MPE. So that is my next line of action.
yeah, to get more granular data on where these species are actually going to get
Exactly. Exactly.
acoustic data or satellite tags or something like that. That's really cool.
Exactly.
Yeah. Is there a lot of research in Ghana? Well, maybe not because it's based on what you said previously, but are there acoustic monitoring projects in the area?
No, no.
Uh,
I recently went to South Africa to learn acoustic and the beta remote and the video system.
yeah.
Yeah, so in October,
Okay.
I have to write to the Save Our Sea Foundation that they can support me to go and learn acoustic. Yeah, so in April, I went to learn the beta remote and the video system.
Yeah.
So I want to learn that in October this year so that I can combine these two and then just kick the grounds moving.
Well, Save Our Seas is listening to to these presentations. So we know when you where you want to expand. If you were given more funding, it seems like you have a really cool plan to advance the science, trailblaze the science in your area, and really make a big impact. So. Issah, thank you very much for your time. This is really fantastic. I learned so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. I really appreciate your support. You have been phenomenal, and I really appreciate the fact that you have me to talk about my work on this big platform. And I'm hoping something good will come out of it.
Yeah, well, so if anyone wants to find more about your organization, the Conservancy, AQLICO .org, right? People can go to
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. Exactly.
and find out more information about all the work you're doing. And of course, through the Save Our Seas Foundation, there's information about you there as well.
Exactly.
Thank you. Thank you. This has been
Thank you.
fantastic.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course, of course. Well, next time you are, of course, more than welcome to join us. For those of you that have tuned in tonight, thank you very much for coming. Next month we have our next speaker on July 15th from 6 to 7. You can sign up at mods.org/STEM Learning Series. And next month we have a returning speaker, actually, Jillian Morris, founder and president of Sharks for Kids, and going to give us a little update on her project focused on lemon sharks and the Turks and Caicos, Project Lemonade, maybe my favorite name of a Save Our Seas project. um, and yeah, so join us for that. And we'll have a good time talking to Jillian. Again, thank you to Save Our Seas Foundation. Thank you, Issah, again for joining us, and we'll see everyone next
Thank you
time.
for having me. Yeah, see you.
Yep. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.